Hello and welcome to the farm. My name is Alicia with Country Mama Musings, and I'm so glad you've decided to join me today to crochet one of my fun egg gathering aprons. Our video has the following chapters that will guide you in completing your apron. So if you're ready, let's get started. For today's egg gathering apron, the Boho Granny, we're going to be using all of these beautiful colors from I Love This Cotton Yarn. In the pattern, I have this teal color listed as aspen. I'm out of aspen, so I'm using this beautiful bright teal. We're using emerald pine, brown, gold, and then we will be using ivory to put all of our squares together and create our apron waistband and ties. We'll also be using a size G crochet hook. So get all of your supplies together and let's start working on this beautiful Country Mama's no-sew egg gathering apron, the Boho Granny. For round one, I'm going to be using this jade color. It's listed as aspen in the pattern. I'm going to start with a magic circle. I do my magic circles a little differently than most. I really like it. I just make a little knot. I place my hook inside the knot with the knot part to the top. Then I just pull the yarn through the circle there and I twist it, and there's my magic circle all ready to go. None of that silly, twisty, bendy, around your fingers, all kinds of stuff. Really, really simple and straightforward. Make sure you leave a nice long tail to secure later. Now, if you don't want to do a magic circle, you can chain 4, then slip stitch into the very first chain and make a ring, and you can work inside the ring. But for now, for this tutorial, we're going to work inside this circle. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These 4 chains represent our first double crochet, chain 1. We need a total of 8 in this ring, so let's do 7 double crochet chain 1s, and that will give us our total of 8 for the ring. So going into for the round, it'll give us the total of 8 for the round. Going into the ring, here is a double crochet, chain 1, that makes 2. Double crochet, chain 1, that's 3. My little dog has decided to join me in the craft room, you'll probably hear. Double crochet, chain 1, that's 4. Double crochet, chain 1, that's 5. Double crochet, chain 1, that's 6. Double crochet, chain 1, that's 7. One more, double crochet, chain 1, and that makes 8. We're going to go ahead and pull the string here to close our magic circle. We're going to our very first chain 4 here. We're going to count up 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into the 3rd to close round 1. Get through there we go. And then go ahead and snug up that center of your circle there. And here we have 8 double crochets into the center with chain 1 spaces all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and finish off. I like to finish off a little differently than most. I like to chain 2, and leaving myself a nice long tail, I pull my yarn through. I just pinch it and then pull it firmly, and it snugs a knot right up against our work. That knot is not coming undone. You can secure your ends in here if you want to, or you could wait till the end of your square. It is entirely up to you. I'm going to go ahead and move on to round 2. For round 2, we're going to be using the variegated yarn. I think that the variegated yarn for round 2 is so aesthetically pleasing for your boho granny inspired granny square here. We're going to start with a slip knot, get that onto our hook, making sure that the right side of your work is facing you. How do you tell? Because your tail here is at the back for where you started. And look at how different those stitches look. The stitches here, the V's are facing up towards you, so much prettier. So I like to start in a chain 1 space before I finished off. So I'm just going to go, let's go into this one right here. It doesn't matter which one you choose, just find a chain 1 space from round 1, place your hook into that chain 1 space, and pull your yarn through, and go ahead and get that yarn loaded onto your project. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. The chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. You can work over your tail if you want to. You don't have to, because we will be securing those later. But in that same chain 1 space, place 2 more double crochet. There's 1 and there's 2. So we have a shell in that chain 1 space of 3 double crochet. Remember, our chain 3 counts as 1. Going to chain 1. Moving to our next chain 1 space, we're going to place another 3 double crochet shell. So here's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 3 double crochet. And we're always going to end those with a chain 1. Moving to our next space, I like to tuck that tail from round 1 behind, make sure I work over it. We're going to complete that 3 double crochet shell. 1, 2, 3, chain 1. We're going to repeat this process all the way around in every single chain 1 space. I'm going to work my shells around and I'll meet up with you here. Hey friends, are you enjoying the tutorial so far? Did you know that I have over a dozen patterns for my egg gathering apron collection? If you're enjoying this, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Click on that notification bell so you can be notified anytime I drop a new pattern. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and share with your crochet friends. I also have a playlist just for the aprons. I'll put the link right up here. Make sure you check that out and find your favorite apron or 2. Okay, let's get back to today's project. I'm here at the end of round 2. I've completed my shell in every chain 1 space with a chain 1 in between each shell. I've crocheted my last chain 1, and here I am at the beginning. I'm going to go up to that 3rd chain. When we first started the round, put my hook through that and close this round with a slip stitch. I'm going to finish off by chaining 2, cutting my yarn, leaving a nice long tail, pulling my yarn through, pinching that very top chain and pulling that knot down snug up against my work. There we go. Round 2 is complete. Let's move on to round 3. For round 3, we're going to be adding our brown. And now we're going to take our round and turn it into a square. We're going to start with our slip knot and go ahead and get that onto our hook. We're going to find any chain 1 space in our round here. I'm going to go into this one right here. We're going to join it with a slip stitch. Chain 3. The chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We're going to place 2 more double crochet in that same chain 1 space. 1 and 2, and this creates again another little granny shell. We're going to chain 1. Moving to our next chain 1 space, we're going to place 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. This will create the corner for our square. So right here in this chain 1 space, let's double crochet 3. There's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, and 3 more double crochet in that same chain space. 1, 2, and 3. And that has created the very first corner for this square. Chain 1. Moving to the next chain 1 space, 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and chain 1. In our very next chain 1 space, we're going to create another corner. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet in this very next space here. Here's 1 double crochet, 2 and 3, chain 2 and 3 double crochet right back in that same chain space. 1, 2 and 3, chain 1. In our next chain 1 space, 3 double crochet. 1, 2 and 3, chain 1. In our next chain 1 space, a corner, so we're going to do 3 double crochet, chain 2 and 3 double crochet right back in that same chain space. Chain 1. Going to our next chain 1 space, 3 double crochet. Chain 1. In our next chain 1 space, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, creating our last corner. My little dog has joined me in the craft room today. You can probably hear her snoring, so apologies if you do. She loves to be up here with me. We're going to chain 1, and here we are at the end of our round, and just like before, we're going to find the 1, 2, 3rd chain from our initial chain up that counted as a double crochet. We're going to slip stitch through that to close our round. And now we've turned our circle into a square. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off. Again, leaving a nice long tail so we can secure that later. Pinching the very top chain and pulling that real snug right up against our work. That knot is not coming undone. All right, there we go. One more round to go for our boho granny. Round 4 for boho granny is going to be completed in this beautiful gold color. It really just pulls out the colors of your variegated once the colorway goes through. Very pretty. And I'm going to pick any chain 1 space before a corner. I'm going to go right here, and we're just going to attach our yarn and then chain 1. In this chain 1 space, I'm going to place 3 single crochet. 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1. Going over here to the corner now, we're going to place 3 single crochet, chain 2, 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and in that same chain 2 space, 3 more single crochet. 1, 2 and 3, chain 1. Going to our next chain 1 space, 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, chain 1. In our next chain 1 space, 3 single crochet. 1, 2 and 3, chain 1. And here we are at another corner. 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, and 3 more single crochet in that same chain 2 space. You're going to continue around your square in the same fashion, always ending with a chain 1. And then in your chain 1 spaces, you will place 3 single crochet, chain 1, 3 single crochet, chain 1. When you get to a corner, it's 3 single crochet, chain 2, 3 single crochet in that same chain 2 space. I'm going to work our way around the square, and I'll meet up with you here when we're ready to go ahead and close up this round. I'm here at the end of round 4 for our boho granny. That's my last single crochet. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to go over here to our first single crochet and just go ahead and slip stitch into the top of that stitch there and slip stitch to close. I'm going to chain 2. Cut my yarn and leaving myself a nice long tail, go ahead and finish off. And there we are, our square is done. Now we're ready to secure all of our ends. To ensure that my work does not come undone, I like to secure my ends back through the stitches of my work on the back side of my square. I like to work underneath the stitches, pulling the yarn through. Several stitches actually. Let's pull this through. That's considered 1 pass. I like to do 3 passes. I'm going to go back the same direction, but I'm not going to go in where I came out. I'm going to go over 1 strand of yarn and go in again and pull that all the way through. And when I do that, it's going to catch that strand of yarn that we skipped, and it's going to snug it up, and that's not going to back out. We're going to do it one more time back the opposite direction, again going 1 strand of yarn over and pulling it all the way through, and that is pass number 3. Don't pull too hard, you just want it so that it is snug. And then grabbing your scissors, you can go ahead and trim that, and that's not going to come undone. Your work is going to be secure for quite some time. So go ahead and finish securing the rest of your ends. I've secured all of the ends on my boho granny. This is going to be the pocket front. You're going to want to make 12 of these. Since our apron is reversible, you want something that's going to be aesthetically pleasing on the reverse side of your apron. Now, I'm going to be using this cream color to join our squares and to make our waistband, so it makes sense that I'm going to make the squares for the reverse in this same beautiful color. It will flow beautifully. I'll put a picture right here so you can see that. When you're working on the squares for the back of your apron, you don't have to finish off in between rounds. Just slip stitch and then slip stitch over to your next chain space and start your next round. I just finished round 2, slip stitched over to my first available chain 1 space, and I'm going to go ahead and start round 3. You can do this for all of the rounds, so you don't have to have any tails to sew in except for your beginning and your end of each square. I hope that little tip is helpful. Go ahead and complete rounds 1 through 4 in ivory, completing 12 of the backs of your pockets. Our pocket fronts are completed and our pocket backs are completed. You want 12 of each. Let's move on to creating our waistband and then assembling our apron. Let's go ahead and start our waistband for our apron. We're going to start with a slip knot and go ahead and get that onto our hook. And we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to slip stitch into that very first chain to create a ring, and we're going to be working our stitches into the ring. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and find the center of that ring. Make sure you don't work into that chain that you slipped into. That's happened before. Go into the ring and place 2 more double crochet. So into that ring, here's 1 double crochet and 2 double crochet. You can slide those over to make more room in your ring, and now you can really see that ring pop out real nice there. Chain 2, back into the ring with 3 double crochet. Here's 1, 2, it creates this really nice little shell inside of our ring. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to turn our work so that we're going to work now in this chain 2 space. The ring is down here. We're going to work in this chain 2 space. We're going to place 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So again, in that chain 2 space, here's 1 double crochet, 2, 3, chain 2, and 3 more double crochet in that same chain 2 space. 1, 2, and 3. So we've created that shell now in that chain 2 space. Push your work over a little bit so you can see these 3 stitches here. We're going to skip the first double crochet, skip the second double crochet. We're going to go to these chains right here, this chain up of 3. It kind of counts as our double crochet, so we're going to consider it our third double crochet. We're going to place a double crochet in the very top of that stitch there, in the top of those chain 3. It really is a double crochet, but it creates this little chain space here. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. So here we have row 1 and row 2. Working row 3, we're going to work right back in this chain 2 space of our waistband with 3 double crochet. Here's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2. Give yourself a little room to work with there, and 3 more double crochet in that same chain 2 space. There's 2, and there's 3. Again, we're going to skip the first double crochet, skip the second double crochet. We're going to go right here to this third double crochet and place a double crochet, and that provides us with another little space to work in when we add our pockets. Chain 3 and turn your work. Let's do just one more. 3 double crochet into that chain 2 space. Here's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1, 2, and 3. So in that chain 2 space, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Skipping our first 2 double crochets here on the side, going right here to this last one, and placing a double crochet in the top of that stitch. Chain 3, and turn your work. So let's talk about how this waistband works for our apron. I'm just going to rotate it here a little bit. Your pockets are going to be attached to the bottom of your waistband, and we're going to be working in these little chain spaces. So it's important to make sure that you chain 3 before you turn your work, and you have that extra double crochet where you connect to the top of that shell, because we're going to be working in all of these little spaces. Now that your waistband is done, before you set it aside, I'd like for you to get anything you can use as a stitch marker. You can use a regular stitch marker or a piece of yarn, and you're going to count these little chain spaces here at the bottom edge of your work. You're going to count over 6 of these spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And let's just go ahead and add a stitch marker in that 6th space. And this is going to indicate where we're going to join our first pocket when we add our pockets to our apron. But for now, you can go ahead, fold it up, and set it aside. We have all of our pieces ready to assemble for our apron. We're going to set the waistband aside. We've got our pocket backs, our pocket fronts. Before we put our apron together, I'd like for you to look at your boho squares. Let me move these other things out of the way here. Lay out your boho squares, take a look at them, and take the time to lay them out in the pattern that you want for 3 rows of 4 across, for a total of 12. The reason I say that is because as you work through the variegated yarn, you're going to have different colorways as you've crocheted it. You don't want your entire row to have a bunch of blue or your entire row to have a bunch of yellow. You want to mix them up so you get something that's really pretty across the board. So take the time to separate those and determine where you want them to lay in your pattern of 4 across, 3 rows down. Then what I'd like for you to do is take the backs of your pockets, take a square, and marry them up. Wrong sides together. I'm going to stop right here and say, I have people ask all the time, how can I tell which side is the wrong side and which side is the right side? Let's look at your square. This is the right side facing up towards us here. You have all of these beautiful stitches. Look at the little V's pointing up towards you. Very nice and clean. When you turn this over, you've got a bunch of, your stuff's pointing away from you. You've got a bunch of bumps back here. This is the back of your work. You can see the difference. Let me hold one up to the other. Look at the difference in the two. You can't even see the center pinwheel very well here because this is the back of your work. All of these stitches have been worked into it. This is the front of your work. Determine the front pocket. Get your back pocket. This is the wrong side. This is the wrong side. We're going to marry those two together so we have the right side facing out on each side of our pocket. This way we have them all set up when we're ready to assemble our apron. So here we go. We're just going to set these up and put them aside. Remember, wrong sides together. Let's go ahead and start with a slip knot. And we're going to start in any corner space, going through the chain 2 space of the front pocket, the chain 2 space of the back pocket. We're going to pull our yarn back through. We have 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through both loops. That starts us with a standing single crochet. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Going right back into those chain 2 spaces at the corner, completing our second single crochet. And we have our little loop here on the corner. Chain 4, 2, 3, and 4. Moving over across our pocket squares here, we're going to go into the chain 1 space and single crochet. Chain 4. What I love about this method is you don't have to work in any of the stitches, you're just working in the chain spaces. To our next chain 1 space, a single crochet, chain 4. To our next chain space, a single crochet, chain 4. We've reached our next corner here. We're going to go into the chain 2 space of both pockets as we've been doing, and single crochet, chain 4. I'm going to go right back in and complete that second single crochet so it makes the loop here at the corner. Our chain sequence of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, going to our next chain 1 space and completing a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. To our next chain 1 space. 1, 2, 3, 4. To our next chain 1 space. Make sure they align. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're here at the corner. I'm only going to put in the first single crochet and then we're going to discuss what we're going to do next. So our first single crochet in the corner, stop right there. Let's take a look at what we've got. We are constructing our first pocket and now we're ready to attach to our waistband. We'll always have a sequence of 4 chains, but somehow we have to connect the waistband to our pocket. We're going to take that sequence of 4 chains and divide it in half. So we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. Now we need to attach to our waistband. We're going to remove our hook. We're going to find that space that we have indicated and we're going to place our hook in from the front to the back. And we're going to grab that loop that we took off of our hook and we're going to pull it back through to the front. You may need to add a little tension to make that loop short again. and finish your chain 4 sequence by chaining 2 more. 1 and 2. Now we've attached to our waistband. Because we're working in a corner, we still have to go back and put that second single crochet in there. So right back in the corner, our second single crochet. All along the top here where we're attaching to our waistband, we need to divide those connecting chains 2, slip through 2. We're working across the top of our pocket. We want to make sure we don't crochet our pocket closed. So again, we're going to fold the front back a little bit as we work. And we're going to work just in the chain 1 spaces across the back here. So moving on, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, remove our hook. We're going to find the very next chain space in our waistband, going in from the front to the back, and we're going to grab that loop and pull it through and complete our remaining 2 chains. 1, 2. Now we're going to come down to our single 1 spaces of our pocket. We're going to fold the front pocket back, working just in the back square, and complete our single crochet. We're going to chain 2. That's part of our sequence cut in half. Going to go right back to the very next chain space here in our apron. Grab that loop and pull it through. Then chain 2. Going to our next chain 1 space. Again, we're just going to work in the back pocket here. Complete a single crochet. Chain 2. Remove your hook. Locate the very next chain space here on your apron from the front to the back and grab that loop and pull it back through. Chain 2. Going along your pocket, going to your next chain 1 space, the back pocket only, single crochet. Chain 2. Don't get ahead of me, we've got changes coming up. Removing your hook and going to your next chain space on your waistband, place that loop back on your hook and pull it through. Chain 2. You'll find yourself with this little sing-song of chain 2, pull through, chain 2. We're at the corner now, and we want to make sure that we work through both the pocket front and the pocket back. We're going to enter into that chain 2 space of the front one, the chain 2 space of the back one, and complete our first single crochet. Now let me explain something right here. We're going to stop right here. Let's discuss a few things. I'll take my hook out. First of all, let's discuss the fact that this is absolutely beautiful. This is a beautiful join. Your apron is going to be so lovely. Secondly, we did not crochet our pocket closed, so we are able to place an egg in our pocket right here. Actually, you can fit 2. We've worked over here to the corner. This is our first pocket where we're going to have a row of 4 pockets. We're going to have a pocket right here. If we attach our corner to this, let me get my hook here. If we attach this corner to this chain space and then add a second pocket and it's going to attach to this chain space, we're going to have a big, huge gap right here in the center of our work, and we don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach this pocket corner over here. We're going to skip 1 space and attach over here. Then when we work our next pocket, we'll attach this pocket corner over here. And so the chains will crisscross over each other and you'll get a beautiful pattern. So let's go ahead and do the first part of that. We're at the corner. We're going to chain 2. We've completed our single crochets. We're going to remove our hook. We're going to skip the very next space and go to the next space after that. We're going to place our hook in from the front to the back. We're going to grab that loop and pull it back through, creating some tension so this loop isn't too big, and complete chain 3 and chain 4 of our chain sequence. And we're going to go right back to this pocket and complete our second single crochet. So our pocket has been successfully attached to our waistband. We're going to close up the remaining side of our pocket in the same way we did earlier. We're going to chain 4. We're not attaching to anything, so it's a chain 4. Going to our next chain 1 space, going through both pockets at that chain 1 space, completing a single crochet. Chain 4. Going to our next chain 1 space of both pockets and completing a single crochet. Chain 4. Going to the next of both pockets and completing a single crochet. One more time we're going to chain 4, and we're just going to go right here to our very first single crochet, complete a slip stitch to attach, and chain 2 so you can finish off, but don't finish off yet. Go ahead, take your hook out, lay your apron down. Let's take a look at it, because at this point, before you finish off, you want to take a look at your pocket, make sure you've done everything correctly. Make sure all of your spaces have been formed. Make sure all of your corners have 2 single crochet in them. And most importantly, make sure you didn't accidentally crochet your pocket closed. I've done it. It happens. But this one looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn. I need new scissors. And we're going to go ahead and pull that yarn through. We're going to pinch those chains and pull them tight up against our apron. And this first pocket is done. We'll sew the ends in later. For now, let's go ahead and get our second pocket ready. For our second pocket, I've married up a front and a back square, wrong sides together. We're going to start with our standing single crochet in a chain 2 space of our corner, chain 4, and place our second single crochet right back there in that same corner, creating our first little loop. Chain 4. Don't get ahead of me because things are going to change real quick. Finding our next chain 1 space, complete a single crochet, chain 4. Going to our next chain 1 space, complete a single crochet, chain 4. Going to our next chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 4. We're here to the next corner. We're going to single crochet into the corner, and things are going to change. We're going to chain 2. Remove our hook, and we're going to lay our pocket down next to the first pocket that we worked on right here. We're going to start our join along this edge of our pocket. We've completed our first single crochet in this corner and chain 2, and we've removed our hook. We're going to go over to this pocket now, and where we made this corner loop right here, we're going to place our hook in from the front to the back and come across and pick up that loop, and we're going to pull it through. So chain 2, pull through, create a little bit of tension there so you don't have a big loop there, and chain 2. That completes our sequence of the 4 chains. We're going to go right back to the pocket we're working on and finish that second single crochet that always goes in the pockets. Always. Let's take a look here. We've now connected our second pocket to our first pocket along the bottom. We're going to complete our chain sequences now and our single crochets, and we're going to work along these loops as we join. So our chain sequence is 4, but we're going to cut it in half. Chain 2, remove your hook, go to the very first chain 4 sequence on this pocket and go from the front to the back. Grab that loop and pull through. Chain 2. Back to the pocket we're working on, we're going to the next chain 1 space and completing a single crochet. Chain 2, remove your hook, find the next little loop that we made on this pocket we're connecting to, pull through, chain 2. Going back to the pocket we're working on, going to the next chain 1 space, completing a single crochet, chain 2, remove your hook, find the next loop that we made, pull through, chain 2. Going to the next chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 2, pull through, chain 2. Now we're at the corner. We're going to go ahead and get that first single crochet onto our corner. And let's take a look at where we're at. Look at how beautiful these pockets are when they're connected with this beautiful flat braid join. So gorgeous. This is the most elegant egg apron ever. I'm bragging, I know, but I can't help it. We're going to chain 2, and let's take a look at where we're going to place our hook to pull through on our apron. We connected this corner over here and we skipped this chain space right here. We're going to go into this chain space. Our hook from the front to the back. We're going to grab that loop, create a little tension there, and we're going to pull it through. We've got a lot going on here. And chain 2. Go back to the corner that you're working on for this pocket here and complete that second single crochet. Let's take a look at it. It's going to look a little bulky here in the corners. Don't worry about that. We're going to straighten that out later. You've just got a lot going on right here, but it's going to create a beautiful, beautiful pattern there. Trust me. Trust the process. This is so much quicker than sewing your pieces together. We're going to work across the top now of this pocket, attaching it to our waistband. So we've just completed our second single crochet. We're going to chain 2, remove our hook, find the next available, that's a key word, the next available chain space. This chain space here is not available because it's attached to this corner over here. We want the next available chain space, which is right here from the front to the back. I'm going to grab that loop and pull it through. And we're going to complete the other 2 chains. Going back to the pocket, working in the back pocket only. We're going to fold the front forward, go to the chain 1 space, complete a single crochet. Chain 2, remove your hook, go to the very next available space, pull through, chain 2. Going back to the pocket, to the chain 1 space just in the back, single crochet, chain 2, remove your hook, find the next available space, pull through, chain 2. Going back to the pocket we're working on, the next chain 1 space, a single crochet, chain 2, finding the next space, pull through, chain 2. Now we're at the corner again. Our corners, we always work through both front and back. So placing our first single crochet through both the front and the back. There's our first single crochet. Chain 2. Remove your hook. Remember, we're going to skip the next space here and we're going over here so we can work our corners on a catty corner fashion. So placing our hook in not this one, but this one, we're going to grab that loop and pull it through. And we're going to chain 2. Going back to the pocket we're working on, we've got to place that second single crochet in the corner. And our second pocket has successfully been added to our waistband. Look how beautiful that is. Let me take the hook out so I can show you some really pretty things. First of all, this is gorgeous. You cannot deny it. Second of all, we can move this stitch marker now that we've got that attached here at the corner. You have a beautiful, beautiful border that's going to be along the outside and the bottom edge of your apron. Very, very pretty. We've got 2 pockets to put eggs in. Everything looks just beautiful. Let's talk about this corner up here. As we stretch this out, if you will just take your hook and go into every little spot. Let me turn that upside down so it doesn't snag. Go to every little spot that you worked in for this pocket join. Just give it a nice little shove towards the center. Look at that beautiful little snowflake that forms right here in the center. Really, really pretty. So this is your flat braid join as we put our pockets together. I'm going to finish up along this side, closing this pocket. And I'm going to repeat this process one more time for square number 3, for pocket number 3 here. And then I'm going to add pocket number 4, and I'm going to meet up with you when we join the final corner for square number 4, because we don't skip. We go to the next one. So I just want to talk you through that part. I promised you we'd meet back up here at the corner of our pocket 4 join. We've got our first single crochet here in the corner. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to do our last join to the waistband. Now, since this is our last join, we're not going to skip. We're just going to go right here in this very next one and pull through and complete chain 2. We're going to go back to our pocket and complete our second single crochet, and we're going to go right back to our chain series of 4, going to our single crochets along the outer side of our pocket. Chain 1 space, 2, 3, 4, chain 1 space, whoops, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we're right back here to our standing single crochet. Just gonna slip stitch through that single crochet, chain 2, and finish off. And here our first 4 pockets have been joined to our waistband. We're done working with the waistband other than adding our ties once we get our apron constructed. Now we're going to complete row 2, which will consist of pockets 5, 6, 7, and 8. And instead of working in the waistband, we'll be working in these loops right here on the bottom of these pockets. I'm going to meet up with you and start on pocket 5. I've started putting pocket 5 together, and I've reached the corner where we're going to add on to pocket 1, and we're going to add on right here at this little corner loop. I've already got my first single crochet in the corner. I'm going to chain 2, remove my hook. We're going to place our hook in from the front to the back, grabbing that loop that we dropped off of our hook and pulling it through that pretty little loop that we made on pocket 1 there at the corner, and we're going to go ahead and chain 2. That completes our chain sequence. Going right back to pocket 5 that we're working on, single crochet in the corner, chain 2, and we're going to find our first little loop right here, take our hook off of our work, put it from front to back, grab that loop and pull it through, chain 2. Now we're working across the top of our pocket here. So we're only going to work in the back part of our pocket. We're going to go to our next chain 1 space, complete a single crochet, chain 2, take our hook out and put it through the loop that we created, put our loop back on there and pull that through, that pretty little flat braid join loop. So going to our next chain 1 space in the back pocket only, single crochet, chain 2, remove our hook, place it into our next little flat braid loop that we've got going there from our first pocket, chain 2, moving along to our next chain 1 space at the back of our pocket, completing a single crochet, chain 2, remove our hook, go to our next little loop here, for our flat braid join and pull that through, chain 2. We're here at the corner of our pocket. We're going to make sure we go through both front and back now, completing our first single crochet of this corner, chain 2. We're going to remove our hook, and once again we're going to go catty corner. So you're going to want to find the loop that you made in this corner of this catty corner pocket. It's right here. Sometimes it's hard to determine exactly where it is. Make sure you get this loop. You don't want the center, and you don't want the loop right here on the corner of the pocket directly above the pocket you're working on. Remember, we're going to be doing things crisscross. So we're going to go into this little flat braid loop that we made right there. It's actually the loop on the corner of pocket 2. We're going to grab that and pull that through and chain 2. Returning back to pocket 5 that we're working on, we're going to place our second single crochet in that corner. And now we have successfully attached pocket 5 to pocket 1. I'm going to go ahead and close up the rest of pocket 5, and I'm going to meet back with you once I've got pocket 6 attached up the side, and I'm going to meet you here in the corner so we can discuss this corner. I'm in the middle of joining pocket 6 here, and I've come up to where we're going to join here at the corners. I've got my first single crochet, chain 2, and I've removed my hook from my work. Going back up here to where we're going to join in the corners, remembering that we're joining crisscross, we've already joined pocket 5 to pocket 2 here at the crisscross. We're going to join pocket 6 to pocket 1. We need to find that little crisscross pocket that we're going to work into. Remember, we're not going to work in the center. We're not working right above here in this pocket. We're not working in the center. We're going to work in this space right here, this little loop we made at the corner of pocket 1. Placing our hook in, grabbing that loop that we took off of our hook and pulling it back through. Provide a little tension there and complete your chain 2. Go back to pocket 6 and put your second single crochet in the corner. And now we've successfully joined these corners. I'm going to finish pocket 6 and come back and show you how beautiful this is here in the center where you've joined all of your pockets in the corners. Be right back. We've successfully joined the first 2 squares of row 2 on our apron. Pocket 5, pocket 6. And here we've done our crisscross joining in the corner. As I said before, just take your hook, go into every little area and just kind of push everything towards the center. And you're going to end up with this beautiful floral starflake pattern here in the center of your work. So now all you need to do is add pocket 7 and pocket 8. And when you join pocket 8, just remember you're just going to join right here. There's no crisscross because you're at the end of this row. And then all you're going to do is simply repeat it for pocket 9, 10, 11, and 12. I have all 12 of my pockets now on my apron. Isn't this beautiful? I just love this. Let's see how the back is looking because this apron is reversible. First of all, look at all these lovely pockets. We've got all these pockets to put eggs in. Let's turn this over. And look at how beautiful the back is as well. The only thing we have left to do on the apron part before we make our ties is we want to get our loose ends here. I like to give them a couple of knots. I tie them twice into a nice secure knot. And then I sew the ends into the pockets themselves. Even though they're already very secure, there's just no sense in taking any risks in having anything come undone. So I always double down, I double knot everything, and then I sew it, cooperate with me, back into my work. So once you have all of your ends secured, you're ready to move on to your ties. But isn't that beautiful for a reverse apron? Very, very pretty. I just really love the classic look of it, which you can see without the ends in the way. Let's move on to our ties. Now that our apron is all put together, let's move on to putting the ties onto the ends of our waistband. You can start with either end of your waistband and just locate your very first little ring here at the end where you started, or your last chain 2 space, depending on what end of the apron you want to start on. We're going to go ahead and start with a slip knot, get that onto our hook, and go into that chain space on your apron, and we're going to join with a slip stitch. Then we're going to chain 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that we have our 60 chains completed, I want to talk about the parts and components of the chain stitch. We have the top of our stitch here, this little part of a V. We have the bottom part of a V right here. But if we flip our stitch over, we have a little bar here that runs straight up our stitches. We're going to be working in this bar. We're not going to be working in the loops that are accessible from the front. We're going to be working in the bar, and you can only access it from the back of the stitch. I'll show you a few stitches to show you how we're going to do that. So getting my yarn back on my hook here, not counting the loop that's on our hook. Here's our first chain. Here's our second chain. We're going to flip our work over, and here is that bar right here. We're going to slide our hook through that bar and pull our yarn back through. We have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and we're going to complete a single crochet in that stitch. Going to the very next stitch, here's the bar. We're going to slide our hook in there, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops on our hook, completing that single crochet. You're going to work a single crochet in the bar of every chain. I'll meet up with you when we get to where we joined on to our waistband right here. I've just completed the last single crochet in the bar of each stitch of our chain for our waistband. We're back here to our beginning ring. We're going to slip stitch into that space here at the end of our waistband. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn that work that we've been working on for our tie. We're going to slip stitch into the very first stitch, and then we're going to work a single crochet in every stitch across, making sure that you get both the front loop and the back loop on your hook, completing those single crochet. Every single stitch. I'll meet up with you when we get to the end of our tie. We're coming to the end of row 2 of our apron tie. We have just a few stitches left. I'm going to go ahead and single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the next, and right here is our very last stitch. We're going to slip stitch into that stitch, and that will give us a nice rounded edge here. Go ahead and finish off and secure your ends. Go ahead and work the second tie on the other end of your waistband. I'm just now securing the very last end of our apron ties here. Give that a little snip. And let's take a look at our beautiful apron. Isn't that lovely? And we've got these really great little ties. I'll tell you what, with the ties, what I really like about them is they're not too thick, they're not too thin, much like Goldilocks. They're just right. They're long enough you can tie them, they're thin enough that they're not bulky, but they're secure enough that they're stable and sturdy and will keep your apron right where it needs to be. Isn't that pretty? And remember, it's reversible for a hostess apron or a canning apron, whatever you'd like for it to be. And then our egg gathering apron here in the front. Well, I hope you've enjoyed making this apron with me today. It is beautiful. It is elegant. I assure you there's nothing else out there like it. Enjoy collecting your eggs, and I hope this brings you some joy to your home and your coop. Be sure to check out the other videos that we have for our egg gathering aprons in the collection, and I will see you next time here on the farm. Until then, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.